It's Monday and time for the Back to Business podcast, featuring Calgary's industry leaders. Welcome today's show host, Kim Hayden.
Okay, there must be something in this 5 a.m. club, all this biohacking. There's something going on out there that, I'd like to learn a little bit more. Today, we have Dean Zipse in studio, and he is with the Upgrade Labs. He's a co-owner, and he's here just kind of tell us how we can work smarter, not harder, and get the best energy we can imagine. But first, our land acknowledgement. We here at the Calgary Petroleum Club, in the spirit of reconciliation, honor and acknowledge that the land on which we learn, work, and live is Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. This place is a traditional homeland for the First Nations and Métis peoples, and today we all are part of this treaty land. Dean, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited that we found time to do this, and great to connect with you again.
Absolutely.
Since our first little podcast with Dave Asprey.
Absolutely. What's fascinating is since we have connected, since you came in here, you even got our AGM, Glenda, to come over and try out your lab.
You bet. We love, of course, connecting with the Calgary Petroleum Club. And the circle just keeps expanding. I just met Matt, your kind of biohacker guy that was in earlier. And when Glenda came to the lab, she's a very fit lady. And,
she is.
She proved that. She pressure tested some of our equipment. We recovered her. When I spoke with her after, she was just a little stiff and sore, but she loved it. She had a great time.
Well, Glenda loves a challenge. She doesn't back down from anything. It's why she does so well at what she does. But let's start this conversation out giving a little bit of pre-frame as to who you are, Dean, and your journey within Upgrade Labs and within what biohacking, right? So Let's start with you.
You bet. So career in the energy service space, but lifelong athlete. Played rugby in college, competitive swimmer, always up for a challenge. I've done one Ironman triathlon. Look forward to doing a couple more in my life. And the last, 7, 8 years, another business partner who's involved with me at Upgrade Labs, we'd been kind of biohackers for each other. And I think it was predominantly coming out of COVID. We really recognized the need that people were taking health into their own hands. And by doing so, we knew that conventional fitness wasn't the answer. Just by our nature, we had been exposed to a couple of new pieces of workout equipment. And we just were back of a napkin piecing a business plan together when we discovered Upgrade Labs. And when you get to connect with a guy like Dave Asprey, who's known as the father of biohacking, and seeing what he's done, bringing the right fitness and recovery equipment together in one lab, we thought this is where we're going to start this phase of our journey. Yeah.
So you've mentioned a couple terms that I want to kind of break down a bit. So conventional fitness. When you say conventional fitness, what does that mean?
My analogy for conventional fitness is really the dumbbells and barbells of a conventional gym and treadmills haven't materially changed since the 70s when guys like Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger made them popular. A dumbbell is still a 20-pound dumbbell is still a 20-pound dumbbell. We're utilizing equipment that has AI, pressure sensors, electric motors, and this equipment is like a cell phone compared to a fax machine. You wouldn't fax me anything anymore.
No.
You'd snap a picture, PDF it, send it to me in DocuSign in about 2 minutes, and be accountable, have date, time stamp, proper signatures, etc. Well, a fax machine to me is like a conventional gym. Now we're talking a World Health or a Gold style gym, where ultimately they have some technology there, but it's not adaptive. And our equipment is all adaptive weight. A lot of it records, almost every metric of your workout and graphs and charts, and some of it even sends you an email after showing you how well you did.
Will any of it tell me to put down the fork and get off the couch?
Yeah, well, that's what our technicians are for. Yeah, we support that verbally. You bet.
So the other term was biohacking. So, and there's a lot of talk around AI, and I want to dive in just a little bit more as to how AI is integrated within the equipment itself.
Yeah.
Because I just want to create more of a picture. I know that the majority of our audience is audible on this podcast, and I just want to create more of a picture for them. But before we start diving into the nuances of the actual equipment and your studio offerings, what is biohacking? Because I'm hearing this term everywhere, and it seems like is it a generic term that's anything around your bio?
Yeah. Back to our founder, Dave Asprey. He had a career in the computer programming business, and in the computer industry, you're always trying to find the shortcut with less coding, less work. What's the hack? What's the workaround? And you may recall part of his story was a 300-pound unhappy computer programmer that was working out 7-8 hours a week. And ultimately, when he started to hack his own biology or take control of the environment that his body lived in, then he was able to really figure out the metrics that moved the needle for improving his weight loss and strength gain journey.
So so he hacked his own. So what does that mean though? When I'm looking at it, it's obviously not, a Mary Claire, take this quiz and now you know everything. There's got to be more to it. What does that look like?
There's several phases to it. So it's everything from hacking your diet. And examples of that would be vegetarianism, carnivore, keto, light carnivore, like all the various diet phases are a form of biohacking your diet. Putting a little salt in your water is a form of biohacking to get better absorption of that water that you drink. Yeah. And fitness, a big part of what we've realized is that this recovery piece needs to be added to fitness for your fitness to be effective. So there's a form of biohacking as it relates to fitness. So it's a broad term, but at Upgrade Labs, we utilize it to say you're taking control of the environmental factors that affect you on fitness and recovery. And I think a good way to think of it might be a minimum effective dose. What's the least amount we need to do to get the greatest gain? What's the least amount of a bench press? How can we pack everything into one set of bench press to get the most muscle gain? And on recovery, It might be using some of our technology to get the greatest recovery in the shortest amount of time.
So it's in a sense, it's finding the shortcuts to the maximum return.
You bet. Yeah.
Okay. So you touched on diet earlier, and you mentioned all the big ones, right?
Yeah.
Does diet vary based on biohacking? Like, do some people you say they should be vegetarian, some people should be carnivore, some people, like, we have all these different diets out there, right?
You bet.
And does our biology have something to do with what we should be intaking?
It does. We tend to respect people's diet choices at Upgrade Labs and work with them. We have some certain supplements that we carry that are really high quality and very effective supplements. ultimately, what we find is people just have to maximize their protein, however they're getting it. Some's the best and some's least worst, but we just really promote high protein, however you can get it within your personal choice of diet.
And I know that here at, I think it's U of C, where in the lab they're actually growing organic meat. So there's more and more opportunities and options coming on, because there are people who are not meat people.
That's right.
And it's either it's all through personal beliefs typically,
You
right?
bet. Yep.
But yeah, so there's more and more options and out there.
And we want to respect that, people's choices. And so with the right supplementation and the right amount of protein, our fitness equipment is very advanced. We can strengthen your muscles quite quickly. But in order for that to happen, it's not just the equipment. It goes back to the person's diet choices. And so you need the building blocks for strong muscles in the protein.
So let's go back to the equipment, because I'm really, really curious around the equipment and at the upgrade labs, because there's always a process, right? So the equipment is AI interfaced. So what does that look like? Do you have dumbbells?
We don't. There's no, call it traditional fitness equipment. The closest piece of equipment that we have is that would look like a commercially available would be our AI bike. Looks like a Peloton bike. And the difference being there's no tension knob on it. And so the AI runs the tension. And the AI knows your age, weight, sex, and heart rate. And it's taking those inputs and providing the right amount of tension for you. And as you get fitter, it increases that tension. The AI is always chasing you. And so there's some of our clients that have been with us for a while now, and it's positively frustrating trying to get wattage gains on their sprints due to the AI chasing them and making it harder as you grow stronger.
So is AI in lieu of having trainers like this? Is it kind of, is that the theory around it?
There's a factor of that. We have technicians. On our fitness side, we're always with you. We're coaching you, cheering you on a little bit at the least, and always watching for proper form and safety on the fitness equipment. On our recovery side, we get you tucked in, get you in our certain recovery modalities, and then we just leave you be. We'll check on you kind of halfway through your whatever your station you're at.
And I'm guessing recovery is not just a Gatorade. This is like we're moving forward, right?
You bet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So walk me through a recovery. So I've been on the bike.
Yep.
So okay, so let's actually back up before we go to recovery, which is where I want to be. Working out. So we've got a bike.
Yep.
What else do we have?
The other pieces of equipment we all affectionately call cheat machines. And it's various pieces of equipment, kind of recumbent styled, not a lot of moving parts, but you're pushing against electrically generated power and pressure sensors. Working with the human body, which the human body can withstand almost 2 to 1 of a negative rep. So in the gym, if you could bench press 100 pounds, you can then resist 200 pounds as that weight comes back.
Okay.
So now you're working your arms out to 2x what you would do in a conventional bench press. So it cuts the time down by about 80%. Bench press is typically right around a minute. It's 1 minute time under tension. You're always under tension, but you're under this exaggerated or adaptive tension on the negative reps. And it's just impossible to do in a conventional gym. And that's how we advance bench press or all of our weight routines to be very quick and very efficient.
Interesting. So it's kind of, to me, it sounds like, we've talked a lot around tension bands and weightlifting. It used to be all around aerobics and everything. And now it sounds like we're shifting into more building muscle mass and
Absolutely. Couple of key metrics that we focus on, and I might just back up. When you first come to Upgrade Labs, we do what's called a cell health analysis. We're very interested in everyone's unique body makeup, their body composition. So we're putting it on a medical grade scale to figure out the quality. A longevity marker is cell health, the quality of water surrounding your cells, holding a positive, negative charge. We also get tremendous inflammation markers. I would call inflammation the new pandemic, just because we live in North America and eat so much processed foods.
yes.
So many people are carrying just tons of inflammation. If your inflammation if it's too high, we won't even talk to you about fitness equipment. All of our recovery modalities are aimed at reducing inflammation.
Interesting. Yeah, and I see people like ordering skip the dishes from like so much. The processed foods and fast foods are unbelievable.
Yeah, Skip the Dishes has made every restaurant fast food.
Yeah.
And so in order for them to keep up with that demand, that they're taking all those processed shortcuts in order to get it out to the people. And again, we don't have control over our clients' diet or their sleep. But if we can get their inflammation down and get them strength training, we know a stronger body will live longer.
Absolutely.
Live healthier longer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's talk recovery, because your recovery approaches the inflammation side of things. So what is recovery? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think, some recovery's free. Meditating, going for a walk in nature, doing a cold plunge in the river. Those would be, biohacks of free recovery. And since no one is doing those on a daily basis, and when it's minus 20 out in Calgary, we have various recovery modalities. One is called PEMF, pulsed electromagnetic force. And you're laying on a bench between two electrified sleeping bags, and we're sending a mild electrical charge through your body. So you've tried a TENS machine, the little sticky pads, or shockwave therapy from your chiropractor, very common, in use. We would call this whole body shockwave, or TENS on steroids. We're really physically, energetically, we're charging your cells, strengthening your bones, fighting inflammation, and just all over well-being. It's a 12-minute station. I affectionately call it limp in, walk out. If we fixed tennis elbow, we fixed bad knees, sprained ankles, just by energetically sending fresh blood to the area, fresh oxygen, and letting the body get to a point where it can fix itself.
Okay, so you have the shock, you have that. What else? You mentioned cold plunge.
Yeah, we have a walk-in cold therapy. It's a walk-in cooler that provides kind of a minus 100 Celsius feel. And what I love about our cold air technology is that we can control the environment. And I'll maybe speak a little bit more for the female audience, but if you go into cold water, well, the human body knows it's in water, and we get the panicky, gaspy reflex.
Correct.
If you don't calm your breath and calm your brain, the old parasympathetic fight or flight response, men get it too, a cortisol spike. Once you have a cortisol spike, not only do you get none of the benefits of cold therapy, but you actually get your brain remembering those French fries you ate last Thursday and wants to paste it on your belly. So In the cold
Okay.
air, it's very easy to take a big calming 5-second yoga exhale, calm into the situation, and then we have settings that we can run between beginner, intermediate, pro, and extreme. And we turn the fans up higher as we go, and we turn the time up higher as we go. But you're in there in slippers, mittens, and a toque. As well, we put the Bluetooth headphones on. You can pick your favorite song. The time goes by relatively quickly. And the benefits of cold therapy are a 9-hour cognitive boost because the blood has gone to your lungs, heart, and brain. You get a 600 to 800 calorie natural burn as your body warms up.
Warms up, yes.
And, 600 calories takes an hour for an elite athlete on a treadmill. This happens in 3.5 minutes at Upgrade Labs. And fat burn, no inflammation, and a cognitive boost, 3.5 minutes. In fact, kind of I call them the morning squad, very efficient executives that are at the club. They roll in at 5 after 6. They're warmed up. They get their cardio in, lift heavy, and do some cold therapy. They're out of there in about 35 minutes and properly warmed up. Our cardio takes 9 minutes. It's equivalent to a 45-minute jog.
Wow.
And 5 to 7 minutes on the heavy lifting stations.
Okay, so then it's time efficient also.
Hugely time efficient, yeah.
So, and I have heard a lot around like the cold plunge and the cold. It does make me wonder though, because we do see a difference in obesity, the higher obesity rates closer to the equator than closer to the North Pole. The Canadians have a lower obesity rate than its, neighbor to the south. So,
and we're also converting some
never
of that
realized.
bad white fat into
Yeah.
the brown adipose tissue, which is a better fat to have on our bodies. So by doing repeated cold therapy, you can actually change the composition of the fat that you have and get rid of that really bad visceral fat that's around the organs.
What about, okay, so first, before I ask this next question, red bed. What is a red bed?
Yeah, so continuing on our recovery modalities, which are the fan favorite. You leave our place feeling like $1 million if you do a couple recovery stations. So the PEMF, the mild electrical stimulation, we have a red bed that has red, green, and infrared lights. And the company that manufactures this bed has some proprietary coding that they're changing the energy wavelength of these lights to provide different healing energies on your body. And so if you're feeling a little inflamed, you can hit inflammation. If you want your lungs to feel better, you can hit lungs. We have a couple of members that are really wanting that bigger wattage on the bikes, and they're pressing circulation, and they think that gives them a 25 watt advantage when they go out and do the bike after a 15-minute red bed session. So
interesting. I'd heard about this, the red light therapy. My
Yeah.
daughter was telling me that it's good for the skin.
It's so good. Scar healing, acne, cellulite, red, infrared lights penetrate our skin up to 3.5 inches. So we're actually fueling our gut health. So the same way grass grows from the sun, our own microbiome is getting energized from all the good rays of the sun with none of the cancer-causing rays. And it's a 15-minute session. You get to choose what you want to fix, or general tune-up, which is kind of a whole body scan. And there's one called Mood that I love, and I float out of there like I just finished hot yoga. It's just like, wah, yeah. So very, very energetic. There's male and female vitality. If I need a little boost at the end of the day and I can sneak in for a quick session, I'll do vitality. Again, our hashtag is better than before. And you can't say that you don't feel better after a red bed.
Yeah, I'm very curious as to where we are going forward in our longevity, in our health. I mean, it is estimated, they are saying that there's a high likelihood that Gen Alpha will live to 150, 180 years of age. When we look at the biohacking, when we look at what Upgrade Labs is doing, how does this play into that thought process?
Well, it's everything. And, back to maybe some of my history, I've always known that I wanted to die as young as possible, as late as possible. I don't know that I'm on the 180-year bandwagon, but I know I just want to be as active and a contributing member of our society for as long as I can. I've mentioned that, we put you on the scale and do this cell health analysis. Another measurement that we do a lot of work around VO2 max, how our bodies process oxygen. It's a huge metric for, runners and triathletes. And we have a couple of our modalities that help increase VO2 max, which is the leading indicator of longevity. If you breathe better, you're going to live longer than your neighbor. If you breathe better, you're going to process your fat loss better, as 80% of fat is lost through respiration. You're going to fuel your muscle growth better. You're going to digest your food better. Oxygen is life. And I go to the 3-3-3 rule: 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. The most critical one is oxygen. And so both our AI bike and we have a metabolic trainer that is a station. You sit in a lazy boy chair with like a doctor gas mask, and it strips oxygen out, ultimately training your brain to breathe 10 to 15% better after a series of 10 sessions.
Interesting.
So yes, to answer your question.
I know this may go a little like, and folks, Dean's not a doctor. I'm just asking out of curiosity because I was watching a thing on Alzheimer's and dementia. How do you believe, and I'm not asking, we're not saying that any of this is a cure, this is a moving target, but how do you believe that these steps through the biohacking, through what you offer at Upgrade Labs, how do you think that can help?
Yeah, we get asked a lot about mental health. And two of our key recovery modalities that we've already spoken about, the red bed and the cold therapy, are such cognitive boosters. When you go in the cold and your old reptilian brain goes into survival mode, it's boosting your own blood supply into your brain, heart, and lungs. It's a 9-hour cognitive boost. It's proven. There's technical papers on that. And so for our aging and, mid-level manager, and we know this at the lab, we have people that drop in for just a 3-minute cold therapy session, half hour before their board meeting or before a Zoom call with the investors, that's right. And again, you leave feeling better than before. The red light therapy too as well. There's papers out there for the benefit towards mental health that red light and infrared can produce.
I love the fact that we're learning so much about our biology that, when we're talking about that mid-level manager, and I would put my husband kind of right within that space, 64 years of age. And I've just noticed, like, even over the last 2 years, the shift in his body composition, right? The heavier belly, like you see, very typical for males.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the shift from one fat to another fat. And we know that the gut fat is directly related to heart attacks. It's super bad for you. Walk me through real quick, that middle level manager that maybe has a little extra around the midsection coming in. How does Upgrade Labs and this technology,
you bet, yeah,
reshape their overall health?
Well, it's it kind of goes back to some of Dave Aspreyism, but the title of one of his recent books, Smarter, Not Harder. Let's talk business metrics a little bit as we're talking about mid-level managers. So what gets measured gets worked on. Standard mid-level manager metric, right? Here at Upgrade Labs, we're monitoring your body's metrics through cell health and VO2 max, and we're sending you reports on how your strength is gaining time, every workout. I think another metric that I like to discuss is you wouldn't reach into the glove box to pull out a map.
No.
Okay. So again, back to the analogy of a conventional gym is like a map versus our gym. And that relates to the 80-20 rule. You get 80% gain from 20% of your top 20% of your clients. And we're the 20% when it comes to fitness and recovery. We've done all the work to figure out the best equipment and the best recovery, and we've blended them together in a very focused, short amount of time. In fact, we have showers available, but no one ever showers.
Yeah, I was going to say,
very
you're not
efficient.
getting wet
Yeah.
in the cold plunge or any of that. There's no need.
Yeah.
Right?
And so, your husband would be well aligned with our current demographic of someone we could really help turn them around. I've got several case studies of our clients here in Calgary that have gained 6 to 8 pounds of muscle while losing 10 pounds of visceral fat in their first couple of months with us. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
And it's again, that minimum effective dose. What's the biggest gain we can get from the least amount of work? And we're still talking 2 to 3 times a week effort.
Yeah.
And very mindful. Their intent is to lose weight and to gain strength. And probably some of the biggest disappointment comes from getting back on the scale 3 weeks, 4 weeks in, and you find that you're actually a pound heavier. But when you see the printout, you've lost 5 pounds of visceral fat and gained 6 pounds of muscle. And our clients look at us and go, well, let's do that again.
Let's do that again.
Yeah.
Tell us, where can we do it? Where is the labs? Where are you at?
You bet. We're ground floor in Brookfield Place, so 225 6th Ave Southwest. We're across the LRT tracks from the bay, lots of street parking and a couple parkades around, and plus 15 connected, which we knew for our first location in Calgary, we wanted to be right in the downtown core where we would get introduced to like the Calgary Petroleum Club's clients and their network.
Absolutely. And I just going to put this out there. If AI can change the way you write your pro forma, why can't it change the way you work your body?
Absolutely. I like it.
Thank you, Dean.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on the Back to Business podcast. Be sure to visit calpeteclub.com, calpeteclub.com, to find out more about upcoming events, networking opportunities, and membership. If you are not already a valued member at the CPC, where we are proudly connecting and supporting Calgary's business leaders.